Running Sentences presents Tangled in a Criminal World, Part 9. The Crimes One Commits. Micha has to confront things head-on now. There is no escape, and anyway, he's in more danger than he's ever been before with criminals all around him. This story is written and narrated by Michael. It is a work of fiction, so any names, characters, businesses, events, and situations within this story are products of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to real people, characters, businesses, events, and/or situations, plus fictional situations, characters, businesses, events, and so on, is purely coincidental. Copyright 2024, Michael. All rights reserved. Micha looked over at Lord Vance, standing in the doorway of the busty barmaid bar. The bar itself, in a state of disrepair, offered nowhere for either of them to hide, or for Captain Cruel, captain of a bad ship, to hide. There were a few tables around the place, but they all looked bolted to the floor, even though the floor didn't seem to want to be there anymore. "Are you going to ask me your questions, then?" "Well, that is the plan, unless Miss Cruel here intercedes. Which also brings me to my questions. Why did you bring him here, miss?" The lady offered a shrug and moved towards a nearby chair that had somehow survived being in this place. "I do what I think will entertain me, and he made an offer I could not refuse," Cruel said. "What kind of offer would that be?" "She wants her ship repaired, and the kingdom is likely willing to offer that in return for any information," Micha said to Lord Vance. "What kind of information? About what, Mr. Micha?" "Oh, don't pretend you wouldn't trade anything for a chance to better your situation. My ship needs repairs, and I'll take whatever help I can get on that front." "By betraying me, Miss Cruel?" "You would do the same if it got you where you wanted to go." Yes. Both of you disagree that that's a great thing. Can we talk now, though, Mr. Vance?" No. I have nothing to say," Vance offered with a smirk to Micha. "Wouldn't want to implicate yourself in a crime against the crown, now would you?" "Of course not. I would deny any such claims, and whatever Miss Cruel has told you is categorically incorrect. There is nothing to be gained from talking to you, since you obviously work with the crown, and they've already made up their minds." "Well, no, there is some stuff to be gained. See, I can burn you if you fail to come up with some good answers, and that will get rid of all of those denials." "So now you've suddenly become a torturer for the crown." Vance made a face at the comments and showed his disapproval. "No more than when you kidnapped me and forced me to talk to that old witch. Now, what are you doing?" "I'm leaving here." The man had taken a few steps out of the doorway and now stood on the sidewalk outside. To Micha, it looked like a trap to draw him up there, and he wasn't about to buy into that. "I meant your plans for the kingdom, not your sudden interest in leaving." "Oh, I have none of those whatsoever." A few more steps were taken back by Vance, with Micha not moving an inch. "If you won't tell me, then that leaves the rest of the docs to talk. I'm sure they're more willing to talk for you then. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, or what they happen to know, it'll implicate you." "It won't stand up to scrutiny before the court," Vance argued. "No, well, maybe. Does it matter, though? The royals will have what they want to get rid of a bug trying to harm them. Do you want to be bug, or bigger than one?" "You can't make any promises or comments, and I'm already bigger than one anyway. You know nothing, Micha." "This is true. I'm not really in the know about most things. However, I am willing to listen and learn, unlike you." This little dig got the man to move forward instead of trying to back away. A nice change. Sort of. If I may, can I point out, Lord Vance, that your records show that you don't tend to listen to people? And I can attest to that, Micha added to Cruel's comment. Yes, as can those that you hired to do jobs for you, and then you blew up their work. Shut up, Cruel. This has nothing to do with you, and you would be better off not talking. The truth is what helps you stay out of jail, Vance, and if you would listen to this young man, you may actually avoid it. Oh, well, I make no promises about avoiding it, but yes, talk to me so I can talk to other people. Once things are understood, then more communication can happen, and everyone can be a little bit easier on one another. Though the royals may choose not to listen either, Cruel added. They never listen. That's my entire point. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. All I have wanted and strived for was to get understanding for more people. But no. What do you want understood then, Vance? Freedom, Micha. A dirty look crosses Mika's face as he stares at the man, still mostly on the sidewalk outside. Freedom? That simple? That easy? Something he already had in spades? Did this man really take him for a fool? For you or someone else, Lord Vance? See? I knew it. You would not understand me. Well, I can't understand unless you tell me more. I wish to know about what's going on, that you have complaints about. There was a shake of the head from Vance, meaning he wouldn't want to go any further with this, leaving Micha to sigh. Listen, I am from the streets. I know hardships, I know problems, I know life isn't easy. Well, isn't that nice? It probably doesn't do anything for Lord Vance, though, as he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, and sucking on whatever rich teat he could find. Lord Vance, though, was looking wildly about and not concentrating on either of them, which worried Micha. He wanted the man to talk and to spill what was going on. Instead, the man was now looking to run off, and he had to do his best to stop himself from chasing after Vance, since it still very much felt like a trap. Instead, Micha turned to Lady Captain Cruel. You should be chasing after him. He just ran off. No, I can get to him later, maybe. Right now, I need you to come to the castle. Well, why would you need that? To tell them what you know about Vance, and in return your ship gets fixed. That was the deal, right? No, it was to bring you here where you could find out more about him. And I did that. These things change. You cannot say that, and then simply expect me to follow you. Raising his hand, Micha felt a rush of fire and flame go to it. They licked and threatened to consume without feeling hot on the skin. He waved it about towards her. I did, and it's better for both of us if you come with me, Lady Cruel. It makes things a lot easier. The outside world won't be nice to anyone, especially if Vance gets people talking and decides that people need to chase after you. I do not want to. There was a growl in her voice that probably wasn't as strong as she wanted it to be. Micha took more than a few glances around the space and towards the bartender from before, and then nodded to her. Please make things easier for all of us. What do you mean, all of us? The kingdom, even though I only represent a small segment of it. You aren't keeping your promises, and you are trying to change your promises. How can I even trust you to keep them? There's only one way to find that out, and you know how to do that. There was a sigh and another growl from her, but she points towards the back door. Out this way will probably be safer. They headed through a variety of back streets, back towards the main part of town. It took some time before they were there, and then onto the castle walls while keeping a watch out for anyone following. They soon arrived at the front gate, which had a number of guards out and about, blocking almost all people from entering the grounds. Oh boy, what's going on now? I don't know. Why are you asking me? I wasn't really asking you, Cruel. Come on, let's hope they remember me. And if they don't? I've done all of this for nothing. Well, there are other ways around them. Hopefully Lady Jade is still around. They approached the gate, and one of the guards held out their hand to stop them from going any further. Micha made sure to stop more than a few feet short, but close enough for his face to be seen. Who are you? They call me Rexon, and I work for the King and Queen. They've made a request that I go out and be allowed back in. Proof of this? Micha frowns at the request from the guard. Do you think that they would send me out there with proof? Still, Micha's hands instantly went to his pockets, searching for something. In the back of his mind, he'd been given something by them, but there was a good chance it'd been removed by Vance or someone else, or he'd simply forgotten it in his room. Yes, we're expecting some kind of proof, the guard demanded. You could go ask the royals. They will vouch for me and this lady here. I'm sorry, but we're under strict orders to not let anyone in or allow any such requests. Thank you for your time, but if you do not have some sort of proof, then there's nothing we can do for you. Do you have anything that would actually help you, Rexon? Captain Cruel asked of him. Well, I did have a coin. I'm pretty sure I had it somewhere if Lord Vance didn't remove it from me or I didn't forget it. Sir and lady, if you have no proof, I'm going to have to ask you to leave here. Yes, give me a second. Micha patted himself further down, but came up empty-handed. He wasn't sure if he'd ever had it in the first place, but he had hoped he had. There was a sound of more approaching steps that were behind them, and it was soon joining him. The guards stiffened and held out their hands once again to stop the next comer. Your ladyship, the guard said. I would like to get back into the castle if you don't mind. I'm sorry, Lady Jade, but there is an order to keep people out unless they have some sort of pass to get in. Yes, sounds like the royals. Do you not have one, Micha? I did, maybe, but I may have lost it or had it taken off of me. Oh boy. Cruel was shaking her head in the background. I cannot believe I followed an idiot who said he could help me. And who is that lady? Lady Jade asked of Micha. Miss Jade, it is someone who can inform the royals about Lord Vance and his plans. Did you say Lord Vance? A couple of the guards had drawn their weapons at the mention of the name and were now moving towards them. Maybe. Why? What's wrong? Any mention of that figure is forbidden. It's off to the jails with the lot of you, a guard announced. Wait, seriously? Shut up, or we will have to make you shut up. Well, this whole situation is very friendly and all that, but here. Jade holds up a coin, showing it to the guards as her own retinue of guards come up behind her, having secured the area. The ones that were guarding the wall took a careful look at it, with the one who'd been talking holding out their hand for it. Token, please. These two are with me, by the way, along with these soldiers behind me, and don't tell me that there is a limit unless you want the king and queen annoyed with you. You do not get a say in that matter, and we aren't going to talk to the royals, as they've made their orders clear. This guard, who had spoken, took the coin and began looking it over very carefully. While this was going on, though, Micha found himself glancing around just to feel safe. There was no telling when Vance would show up, and or where he would. So far, nothing, but that didn't mean he wasn't around and watching them from the shadows. This is madness. I should just go. I don't need to be here. You want to run away, Lady Cruel. It won't end well for anyone if you do that, and it will mostly fall on your head when things go bad," Micha explained to her. "I think I can take my chances with that. All I need to do is find a ship and a way out of this cursed town and its river. The waterways until the coast are snarled up with the way the river moves. Escaping this town on foot might be your only hope. And that man is going to be watching. It is best to let us help you, unless you really, really want to take your chances," Micha declared. "Right, this is an approved coin by the royals. You may enter, miss." Jade merely stood there, putting her hands on her hips, waiting for the guard to answer the unasked question. For the guard's part, they glanced nervously over to Micha and Cruel, then back to Jade. "I don't," the guard started to say. "He is under the protection of the royals. Your orders are to be damned if he doesn't get in there. Do you understand me?" Jade snaps at the guard. "But her lady..." "She has important information about the situation you don't want us to talk about out here, because it involves the man you didn't want us to say. She has to come in, otherwise it becomes a game of pass the message. Those always get garbled and lost along the way, don't they, guard? I'm sure you dealt with such things, such as orders going astray. Better to have it straight from the source. Yes? For those royals who are worriedly trying to survive?" The guard frowns and looks worriedly about. In the end, he steps aside. The green grass of Lumen Castle were a welcome sight, a thought that Micha never thought he'd have. They were hurrying up the pathway and cutting across the grassy grasslands. He found himself glancing towards the woods as Jade led the way, with Cruel a few steps behind her. Those two were in quite a little chat with one another, and he didn't want to bother that. No, he wanted to worry, with his mind coming up with all sorts of problems to sort out in the moment. "Rexon!" What is it, Lady Jade?" "Cruel said you lived on the streets, or so claimed to, in front of this Lord Vance. Is that true? Does your story of being here not hold up?" "No, I don't think it holds up at all." The two, who were more than a few paces in front of him, came to a stop to turn and stare at him. "You should have clarified what you meant, since that answer could go a lot of different ways, mister," Lady Cruel said. "Well, Cruel, I told the truth. I come from the streets, and have not lived a good life, and it's been a mess of a situation for me. You should have told me all of this before I decided to trust my daughter with you. You didn't really trust Aurora with me in the first place. All you said was to look after her, and I have a hard time believing you would just accept me based on my rough appearances," Meade protested. "Well, you were cleaned up a bit, but it is true that I kept an eye on things, since trusting anyone in this castle is a bad idea." Jade said this with a snort as they started moving again. "And now we have a bigger worry in the king and queen." They came to a stop as he pointed down the pathway towards the guards who were surrounding the people he had just said. Their movement was quick, and a moment later the royals now stood in front of them. "Well, well, 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 you returned so quickly." The group bows to Queen Lizzie. "Did you learn anything?" the Queen then asked. "I brought Lady Cruel here to explain what she knows, and in return you might fix her boat, Your Highness." Lady Cruel took a step forward, offering a bow to the royal, then quickly went into an explanation of what she knew, most of it boiling down to Vance trying to take over, and that someone might be operating in the shadows behind him. To this the king frowned and offered a sage nod of his head yes. "This is good. We have some information to go on now, though we guessed as much about all of this." "Yes, we can start making more moves now. Thank you, Lady Cruel, and your ship will soon be fixed up by you, our friends. At the very least, we will move it from the harbor to the ocean," the Queen added with a nod. "Thank you, Your Highnesses." Is there anything else you need, lady? The king asked. Well... Yes, out with it, Lady Cruel, the queen insisted upon. It's been pointed out to me that my own safety is now jeopardized by cooperating with you. Oh, I see. You want protection? The king pointed out. If you could, until I can leave and my boat's repaired and fixed up and safely at the harbor near the ocean, it would be most welcome. The king glances over to Jade, who was standing off to the side, semi-ignoring the conversation while looking at her nails. He nods to her. Well, yes, I believe Lady Jade over there has been complaining of not having many friends. Stay with her for a while until you can get to the open ocean. Do I have a say in this? No, Jade, you do not. Now, off with you. The two ladies give a curtsy to the royals and then move away, though still trying to stay close to hear what comes next. I've completed your job, your highnesses, and I don't think me going back out there will end very well. No, you have to go back out, the king insisted. We need to know who might be behind Lord Vance's operation. King, Queen, sending me back out there will likely wind up with me dead. They're on the lookout for me. There's a very good chance that no one is even going to talk to me. They all know I work for you now. Why would they even bother to say hello? We can't achieve our goals without putting someone in harm's way. Putting the same bait out there over and over again, though, never gets the result you want. I will debate that. It is attractive to a certain Vance, who still wants more answers from you and solutions to his problems. He gets rid of you, and the whole thing goes away. And if I refuse your orders, Queen? Then there is a jail cell waiting for you, the king replied. It isn't a nice one. It is one lower down, where most people are forgotten about. And here I thought you were going to just throw me out to the wolves. They aren't that cruel, but if that works... No, my husband dear, I don't think we will. We will not stoop to the idea of rabble from the street. We are civilized. What we will do, though, is talk you into our proposition. Well, good luck with that, Micha said to the king and queen. Yes, I understand very well. No food or water for a week in a cell will change your tune. Despite his mind saying that he could withstand such pressure, it also was sending off warning signals. A week without either items would be hell, and he doubted he would survive very long. The other option my wife would provide is that you simply help us, and that will be the end of all of that. And if I do that, I wind up dead on the streets for helping you. No, you will not wind up dead. Yes, I will, Sir King. Why would Vance not send an assassin after me? I choose the jail cell even if it kills me. At least I'll be able to see if the killer comes for me. Oh, what if the killer is a poisoner? Then you wouldn't see them, as they're probably going to be very, very secretly. Maybe we give you some food, just to fuck with your mind. Your Highness, there are times when you simply have to take a chance. I judge my luck to be better in jail than out on those streets, with no protection or idea of what I'm doing. As you wish. Guards, take him away. His arms were quickly grabbed as expected, and they began the process of dragging him away. It took about half a day for Micha to lose his perspective on time. It was dark down in the dungeon, and the cell had one bit of straw to keep him company, along with a torch outside of his reach thanks to being across from the cell walls. His mind had gone to the thought of heating the bars with whatever magic he could muster. Every time he reached for it, though, the feeling of that power would not come to him. So he paced about the place, looking and waiting for something to occur. Eventually, the sound of footsteps broke in, coming his way, and were more than a welcome noise. "Hello, who is there?" Micha called out. My young disciple, I told you not to get in trouble. Lord Quad appeared from the shadows, a frown on his face as he came over to the cell. I was given an impossible choice. Either do as they ask, risking my life and probably winding up dead, or wind up safe and sound for a while, and then dead later. Yes, and your choice has left a lot to be wanted, young Micha. You can't help me from here, nor can you do anything that would be good. You'll have to tell the king you want out, and that you will help him. Why would I do that, Lord Quad? Because that is what I want you to do. Why do you want that? There is information that can be found out there that is a great help to the people of this fair country, and here no one can do anything to help society. Out there, the possibilities are potentially endless. Micha wasn't liking the sound of this, and stared hard at Quad for a moment. A sinking feeling of somehow this man and Vance might be tied together was coming to him the more he looked. Are you working for Lord Vance? Now why would you ask me that, Micha, and why would you want to know that? Well, if you are, then that means I have an impact here in a cell far away from your objective, Micha said. And if I'm not? Giving a shrug, Micha moved so that his back was against the only hard stone wall in this cell. Things will work better if you work with me, Micha, instead of suspecting me of being a part of some bigger scheme. No, I don't think it would help at all. I think things will wind up much worse if I cooperate with you. No, you don't understand. That will go wrong if you don't help and get things right. Quad had moved over to the cell bars that had separated the hallway from the cell itself. His hands were ghostly white as they clenched them. It was an unnerving look to see for Micha, who stood there trying to figure out what he might do if this man had magic powers. I guess then that I will never understand you or Vance or any of the royals. And why won't you? It's a simple thing to do. Just listen. You and or Vance don't want to talk about what is going on. What am I supposed to do to help you when I have no information? Follow our orders. It's what all good soldiers do. Lord Quad was grinning at the moment, and Micha fixed the man with a questioning look. Like he was supposed to just listen and go along with that? What was he being taken for? A fool? Again? I'm not a soldier. But you are for me, Micha. You are for me. No, not anymore. I resign. You owe me. The bars began to bend a bit, being pulled to the side. It wasn't enough for anyone to escape, but it would certainly be noticeable to anyone who came down and looked. Owe you? For what? I kept my ears out and listened for what was going on. Because of that, I've wound up here, working and trying to survive all on my own. Now you show up demanding I do things for you? Yes. Now, will you do what is needed of you? I really don't think I should, Lord Quad. A flash of anger crossed Micha as he reached for the fire once more, the feeling of scorching heat finally returning to his body. No, I see you are getting angry, and that is good, in some sense. That is the type of thing that you need to survive in this world. You think, Quad, I'm getting angry? I'm not. Oh, no. Of course not. You're a terrible liar, and I don't think you'll last much longer if you don't cooperate with me. It's only been a couple of hours and you already look like a lost kitten. The bars that had made up the cell wall were getting bent further and further to the side. It looked like it could fit a person just through it, but he wasn't going to go anywhere near that. Not at the moment, anyway. It doesn't matter if I'm lying or not. You're here to cause trouble. I'm not willing to listen to you since you aren't willing to answer my questions, Micha said as firmly as he could. No, I am not here to cause trouble, Micha. My job is to save this kingdom. I've noticed that you failed to say on the orders of the king or queen. Lord Quad waved his hand in an excusing fashion to show that this was no big deal. It might not be to him, but to Micha this was bad. His head was the one that was on the line after all. I'm working for them to improve things, but they don't need to know all that goes on because it's just going to get messy if they do. So you're lying to the royals then? If you want to make it sound bad, then yes. It isn't bad to keep secrets, but you don't know how things will play out and how much they will harm people, Lord Quad carefully explained. Is that why you won't tell me anything? The bars were now fully bent, so that Quad could easily step through, which made Micha want to inch away from the man. He was, however, already still against that wall, with nowhere to really go. You are finally catching on. Not everything needs to be said out loud. Just some of it, or at least enough of it to get the trust of the person. Yes, exactly, Micha. To this, Micha took a few steps forward, trying to figure out what he was about to do. He knew he wanted to throw a punch, and to try and bend those bars back into place. How to accomplish that, though? That was a terrible mystery. Tell me, Quad, are you part of this plan to take over the kingdom? Are you back on that again? Lord Quad was stepping into the room, shaking his head. Until I have an answer, then yes, we are back to that point of problems. I don't understand why anyone is doing what they're doing and asking me to be the person they get to do their dirty work. It just doesn't add up. All you have to do is what I ask without getting an answer. Micha eyes the man as he thought about that threat, his feet stopping him halfway across the cell. I'm sure you have a good reason for saying that. Would you like to at least explain that reasoning to me? What do you think happens to you when the royals found out you helped set off those explosions? Not much. They know what I know, and I don't know much, and can't do much. Besides, they already have me in jail. Worst that will probably happen is a possible potential execution, which at this point, I might actually welcome to get away from you. Lord Quad now fully stepped through the gap in the bars and began to approach Micha slowly, carefully. And for his part, Micha was ready with his fist balled up. There was an uncertainty in the air as Quad stopped a few feet short of him. They will torture you. Okay, no big deal. They already threatened that, Micha replied. It will be endless, and go on and on and on until you tell them whatever you know and make up what you don't know. All of these threats make me think you're really on the side of the criminals. You know that? Micha, I am not a criminal, and I'm not on the wrong side of anything. Yet you want me to break out of jail instead of negotiating to get me out? Wouldn't that have been a smarter route to go down? There is no time for any of that, and no time to explain. You're coming with me. Lord Quad took another step forward, and Micha frowned. No. Quad then barrels his way towards Micha, who tries to back away from the man. There is an attempt to grapple by Quad, as Micha tosses his fist towards the man's face. Neither maneuver actually worked, and there was a faint burnt smell left after a bit of fire had leapt from his fist, off into the air. The two quickly separated from one another, with Quad looking annoyed at this sudden new thing he hadn't been aware of. You have magic? Quad yelped. What, did Vance fail to inform you of this matter? Stop saying that name, Micha. Why, Vance? Why? Because he doesn't matter here. He'll never matter, and you're wrong about him. How am I wrong? They were circling about one another. Not so great the space of a cell, but each was eyeing the other and looking for a weak spot. They slowly came to a stop as Micha found himself near the gap in the bars that Quad had created. He contemplated jumping out and trying to close the man in. In his mind, it sounded great. In practice, he worried that he wouldn't happen fast enough for him to achieve his goals. Plus, Quad would just merely open up a different set of bars, should Micha get the originals back in place. He wants to destroy the world. That isn't what I want, Lord Quad finally offered. So you're just using Lord Vance, then? Think what you want about it. I'll never tell you what's going on. And yet you want me to help you out. God, the lords and ladies of this realm are so stupid. With that, Micha jumps through the opening in the bars and bolts as fast as he can down the hallway. End of part 9 of Tangled in a Criminal World. Thank you for listening.